So, super interesting today is that Intel actually let go 15,000 people this year. And with that said, they just secured from the government almost $8 billion in grants so they can develop their AI chip with their manufacturing. How is this even legal? Because they let so many people go. And now they're like, you know what? That all doesn't matter. Let's just secure the grant. And so they decreased their staffing size to make more profits, and now they just secured a huge government contract. I don't know, somebody needs to investigate this. But if you're not aware, there's so many these layoffs keep coming. So let's watch this video of this one lady. She got laid off by Deloitte, and then we're going to answer some of you guys' questions because you guys have been blowing up. Okay, here we go. So let's watch this lady actually and her experience, how it all was.
I was laid off Tuesday morning from my job that I've been at for roughly 9 months. So the first thing I do is, reflect. I'm like, okay, I'm 25, I was laid off. I need to apply for employment. I need to get back out there and go on a little job hunt. And, I have 3 years of sales/marketing experience and many years of experience as a server and bartender from college. So I said, in order to find some kind of money, let's do a bartending shift, let's do a serving shift, let's apply to places, because it is right before the holidays. And the company that I was with is only giving us 1 week of pay in lieu of notice. I found out that I was laid off at 10:30 in the morning on Tuesday. It is now Thursday at 10:37. So exactly 2 days, basically. And I just had an interview with a marketing company, and I have a college degree. I have 3 years of experience in the workforce, which isn't a lot, but I did graduate still during COVID. I was still, the job hunt wasn't easy. But I was lucky enough to find a job, and they were offering a $35,000 base, which it's money, yes. But I have rent, I have bills, I have groceries to buy, I have student loans, I have car insurance, I have all of that. That's not livable. And I'm now realizing that I just went through this process 9 months ago when I switched careers to this new company. And now I have to do it all again right before the holidays. Nobody's going to be hiring or on a reasonable timeline because nobody's going to be working. It's Thanksgiving, and then it's, Christmas for those who celebrate. And it's I don't know. And for anybody else that's going through this, because I've been seeing all over my TikTok that people are being laid off with no notice, and I'm kind of in the same boat as them. It's rough. It's really rough right now, and it sucks. And luckily, in due time, and afford things that I needed to afford. And a $35,000 salary that this job was just going to offer me, that's not livable. That's not. Even for somebody that lives at home with their parents, that's not livable. And it's just crazy that we're still in this. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. So if anybody in the Pittsburgh surrounding areas, I have sales experience, I have marketing experience and working with different medias and buying from medias, let me know.
Okay, so this is real life, boots on the ground, raw, unfiltered. I do not know this person. My heart goes out to you. And now we're going to address some of these comments, some of the super rude comments some of you guys left, because anybody can get a job. As you saw, anybody can get a job. But if you're leaving comments like, I see people hiring all over, this is just insensitive and rude. And you can say what you want, because you can get a job at a gas station, you can get a job at all these other companies that are hiring, but the key is they're not paying. So yeah, you can work like this woman for $30,000, but once you've been to college, you have rent to pay, you have other bills to pay, you can't live off of any of that. It just doesn't work, right? Because you are in a situation where student loans wants money from you, the government wants money from you, rent wants money from you, insurance is up, and then $35,000, ooh, that's nice. Yeah, it's not going to do nothing for you. So leaving comments like, it's going to be, I see now hiring 1,000 times a day, it's just not it. It's just not it. Because just getting a job isn't going to do it. You need a living wage, and that's what I stress all the time. So now, here we go. And on my other video, I said, you got to find a mentor. You got to find somebody that can help you out. And people got so pissed. And they said, hey, here we go. Are you for real? The person was asking for advice, not for you to charge him $100 a month for a class they can't afford or utilize. You make money on YouTube already, and you want that person to join the class to make even more. So what kind of crap is that? So let's address all of this stuff. If you are going to get laid off, right, you need to find a mentor. You need to find somebody that's been there that can help you out. And now you're like, well, I'm not into mentors. I'm not into anything like that. And that's fine. If you have the self-awareness of actually going out and doing it, that's fine too. And I'm not saying that everybody should get a mentor and then job search that way. I'm just saying is that everything in this time, in this world, costs you money indirectly. So if you go out and you car shop, you go to all these dealerships and you're trying to find the best deal. And if you put a time on yourself, because so let me say this. So if you go and you car shop and you go to all these car dealerships, and let's say you spend an hour and a half at each car dealership and you're trying to negotiate $2,000-$3,000 off of each car and see then where can I get the cheapest price, and you do that for 5-6 dealerships, you're costing yourself money, right? Because you have your time invested, your energy and all that. And a lot of people don't think as it like, hey, when I hire somebody to do a task for me, that it's not going to drain my energy. Yeah, I'm going to pay, but I got somebody else to do the negotiations and do all that. That's why these car buying services exist, right? And now you're like, well, I'm not really into coaching either. And I was like, if you don't hire a coach, you don't know your blind spots. And that's fine. If you're just looking at, hey, I'm just trying to get another job, I'm just trying to do whatever, that's fine too. But when you're looking at statistics, right? And I'm a firm believer in numbers. When you're looking at who has the most coaches, it is all these top people on top of their game. LeBron James, bunch of coaches. At the NFL, I looked at the Raiders. And the Raiders, they have like over 20 coaches employed at the same time. So they have a coach for linebackers, for everybody else. Okay, so you have a coach for that. You have swimming coaches. You have all these, you have dog training coaches. You have for childcare, you have all these other coaches from people that actually specialize in this one thing so you can get better at it. And when people say, oh, I can't, you can't help me, you can't do anything like that, then that is your awareness, and that is why you're not getting a job. Because let's look at the statistics, and it says that about 70% of people find jobs through their network, through referrals, through all this other stuff. And now you say, that is also not bullshit. So you discounted everything I just said beforehand, and you're going to say, I'm going to unsubscribe, right? So I said, okay, this is my last thing where I'm trying to say, like, okay, my last argument that I can make for you to actually go out and find somebody to mentor is when you look at the Bay Area and you're looking at, I want to break into tech. It's who you know, because every sector is smaller than you think. And now you're like, well, my sector is huge. The medical devices or concrete pumping. No, when you go to these conventions and you start meeting sales rep, you start meeting other stuff, and you start meeting these people that design the equipment that you're dealing with, and you're starting to network and starting to get to know them, all of a sudden you're like, the world is actually way, way smaller. And so what do? You start building a rapport with them. Like, hey, let's, whenever you're in town, come stop by and we'll drink coffee and we'll chat about it. Or, hey, we haven't chatted in 3 to 4 months. Let's have a phone call. Hey, how's this machine going that I bought you? And all these other things. And all of a sudden, you're building a network with credible people. So people talk. People in your industry talk. And once they're like, hey, I need somebody good that does X, Y, and Z. And then most of the time they're like, oh, John's really good. I heard that he's looking for something. And that's how you get it. And when you are in an executive position, right? When you're in an executive position, you're gonna have these conversations where when you're when you're at the Netflix level where you're like, hey, I'm vice president of Netflix or somebody, you go to events where there's vice president of Apple's. That's why you see them commingle. That's why you see them actually swap from Netflix to Apple to Amazon, because they know each other, they network with each other. And then I have a bunch of you guys that think they're so much smarter than the rest of them and say, you know what, that's not gonna work out for me, and then they're gonna cry, my car got repoed, I can't pay my bills. Yeah, it's because you're stubborn and you're stuck. And you're like, hey, in order for me to just get ahead a little bit, then I do it. And this is like the same thing as buying the fast pass at Disney. When you buy the fast pass at Disney, you're not waiting in line. So you get twice the experience that everybody else gets. And yeah, is it gonna cost a little bit more? Yeah, but hey, you don't really wait in line, you get in front of the line and you're good to go. And nowadays where it's so competitive, you need every edge. And it doesn't have to be It can be your cousin that's good at it. It can be your dad, your mom, who knows where, who's an industry leader. Maybe your uncle owns his own company and can refer you to people. And I had that happen where people said, hey, I have this one uncle, he owns this huge construction company, and he's like, hey, how can I network? And so he was looking to have his daughter work in a tech company. So he said, hey, my daughter's looking for a job, and he then got her placed because he was a contractor for that company, and he talked to the vice president, and then the vice president put in a word, and that's how it goes. And I know other people that are at Fortune 50 companies that did the same thing, that handed the hiring manager that were way up, that handed the resume from way at the top to the bottom and said, this is who we're going to get as an intern. And he's like, well, we already had these other people. It's like, nah, let's get this person. And guess what? That's how you get favors. That's how you then return a favor later on. And I know this isn't an exception, because I know and I've seen it happen. And I've seen it happen. So for these people that say, oh, networking's bullshit, there's no jobs out there, they are. You're just not doing it in an effective way. So people said, oh, getting access to guest speakers and all that isn't great because you're not going to learn anything from it. It's like, you got to think about that, because if you're in a speaker environment, right, where we provide you guest speakers, where you're in a world where there's 20, 30 attendees and there's a guest speakers. Now let me tell you, if you had the opportunity to meet Gary Vee early of his career, and you would have had the opportunity to network with him, get connected with him on LinkedIn, and start building a connection, where would you be now? And so it's not necessarily about the message that they're going to deliver. Yes, it is. But if it's in a smaller environment, you can connect with him, and then you shoot him a message on LinkedIn afterwards and say, hey, I can't, your talk was amazing. I got your book. I appreciate you so much. Is there anything else I can do? And then all of a sudden, you're starting to connect with people. And one of my friends actually connected with TV celebrities. They connected with a whole bunch of people that way on how to connect with everybody, right? So they connected with like people like from the Hallmark Channel that did like home flipping and all this crazy other stuff, and CNBC vice presidents and all that. And you got to do it the right way. And all of a sudden, if there's opportunities, it's like, hey, we've connected over here, and you can go back with LinkedIn and just be like, hey, just send your follow-up. Is there anything I can do to help you out? And all of a sudden, you're like, hey, I have this one person, and trying to get him a job. Do you know about anything? Oh, let me listen around. And all of a sudden, they might say, hey, yeah, I do have something for you. And I've seen it more than just once where they said, yeah, I have something for you. So never underestimate your network, but you got to be open to it. And a lot of people are just like, nah, I'm not gonna do any of it. And so when you're not gonna do any of it, then don't be surprised when you get no results. If you get results from something that you've been doing, and it's never instant, these results. So when you go and say, hey, I want to become an amazing basketballer, you cannot start today and expect results tomorrow. It's going to take you months, if not years, to get to where you're at, right? And so when you say, hey, I've been unemployed for 8-9 months, okay, so what are you going to do about it? So you start saying things like, I'm not getting any results. Well, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to go on YouTube and find, hey, how do I improve my job search? There's enough free tools out there to do it, right? So you go online and you just search it. How do I improve it? But a lot of people don't have that mentality of like, oh, it's not working out for me, so let me go online and search what I'm doing wrong, because that takes awareness. A lot of people don't have that. And there's no fault to you that you don't have that. It's just life. It's just, you have strengths and you have weaknesses, and that might be your weakness. So if you have that as a weakness, you're never going to get to a green spot where you're like, maybe my attitude's not right, or maybe I'm not following directions. And if nobody tells you that, you're going to be in your job search for 12, 13, 14, 15 months, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not getting any results. So then don't be mad at the messenger. Be mad at yourself because you let it go on for so long and didn't realize that, and One of the things I've also noticed in this field that I'm in is that your friends are not honest with you. Your friends are not going to tell you, oh, I wouldn't hire you because you're an asshole. No, they're not going to tell you that because they want to have fun with you. It's not their job to provide food for you. And your parents don't know how you're in a job environment, so they're not going to say something either. So the only person that you can get from externally is ask other people that don't know you, or that you're like, hey, why didn't you not interview me? And people aren't going to give you that information because they don't want to get into a lawsuit. But if they were honest, they would probably say, hey, you didn't follow directions, your resume sucked, you didn't network, I have way better candidates for this position, and then that would probably crumble you even more. So they just don't get back to you. And now you're like, oh, all of a sudden I see where the value comes in. But you just got to stick with it. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. There is no way that you can just keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. It's just not going to happen. And this was it for this video. So if you're that person that got let go, don't worry, you got this. Just change small things over time. Hopefully something sticks. And the person that wrote that comment, I hope you apologize to most people that you wrote the comment, not to me because I'm not job searching, but hey, I'll see ya in the next one. And please, please, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.